wants to pitch inside. I love how aggressively he talks about wanting to get in on guys. So I don't think that this pitch is to supplement his ability to throw the ball in to right-handed hitters, but maybe creates a little bit more space for his breaking balls away. I've really liked the development and kind of like the timeline of what this has looked like since we brought it up to him in the offseason and to this point. But we're not asking him to do anything really, really cute with it. So it's just basically, be a chainsaw. It's going to move arm side. Trust that it's going to be into a righty, away to a lefty. And this is why we're going to use it, because we're going to do X, Y, and Z afterwards.
Helsley looked fantastic in that first outing there. He's talked about how he was kind of maybe tipping pitches in New York. Do you feel like it was just a couple of mechanical tweaks for him to get him back to being the dominant closer he is? Yeah,
I do feel like it's not even a couple of mechanical tweaks. I feel like it's a tiny turn of a screw here and there. We've loved the process with him. We've loved his ability to focus on the right things in camp, and you've seen him, throwing a few more curveballs to left-handed hitters to start some at bats, and you've seen the split kind of be unleashed. Especially, everybody, develops a pitch in the offseason, but who brings that thing into opening day with them? And you saw the split with Helsley. It's a very real option for him. He can command the fastball. He can throw the slider anytime. The curveball's been great, 0-0 to get ahead. And the split's a potential wipeout pitch. So, this guy's not only a 100-mile-an-hour arm, but a really, really good mover, a guy who controls the running game. And, he just kind of compartmentalizes everything that you want the closer to be.
Grant Wolfram had a great spring. What maybe role do you envision him in the bullpen, and how excited are you to see what he can do this season?
Yeah, obviously with Aiken out, and you're looking at a guy who can really defend himself against left-handed hitters. So he should be one of the first guys that gets the opportunity against that pocket later in the game. And we've had him up a couple of times the last couple of days, and he should find his way into the game today. But yeah, this should be our left-handed chainsaw for those types of pockets. And the definition of the breaking balls has been really important for him. But the belief and just his ability to learn that he can do this job. As hard as it may not appear from the outside, 12 games in a row for a reliever, being on every single day, sitting down there, never knowing when your number is going to be called unless you're told you're down. It's a tough psychological job, and it's not the physical job, but it's the psychological job that sometimes guys have to get over. And he learned a lot about himself last year, and so I feel like that's just a springboard for him to be really good for us in 26.
Was there a moment last year that you can point to that made you kind of open your eyes to Wolfram? For me, it was striking out Juan Soto. Was there a moment last year where you go, hey, this can be a legitimate weapon in the bullpen?
Yeah, probably same to me. I think the Juan Soto, I think that was it. But, honestly, I met with him in the offseason prior, and we were trying to make him an O earlier than he was an O. So I got to know him a little bit, and he's got the same agent as a couple of our guys already. So just getting to know him, really, really early on. I was a big fan when we met initially, and he went a different route. But, ultimately all roads lead to Baltimore. So it's good to have him.
Pitchers don't really develop without a catcher, so adding Conger and Singley, what's that been like for you guys?
We have done an unbelievable job of creating conduit to our battery, and when you're talking about that relationship between the pitcher and the catcher, we doubled down on that a bunch in spring training, and this is probably the most involved we've made catchers, and having them understand our pitchers and our pitching staff and our philosophies and reviewing things. So what you've seen up to this point is a ton of work behind the scenes from Klimek and our analysts and those guys. But it's really, really important. I think it's the relationship that matters the most in baseball. So how do we create a much tighter unit where we may use, I don't know how many guys, we used 37 pitchers last year. And the average team is using 12 starters. That's a lot for Rutch and for Sammy, but how do we have these guys that are in between that are helping sort of dumb it down and keep it on the main things? And yeah, it's been really neat to have Hank in our room and Hank in the bullpen, and then him kind of bring that in between from our pitchers and our catchers.